The sky burned orange as the battle ended. Smoke curled from shattered trees, scorched fields, and broken machines. In the heart of it all, slumped against a ruined wall, lay an alien woman, her silver-blue skin streaked with ash and blood. Her name was Valira, once a noble scout from the distant world of Tiriath. Now, her team was gone, her ship destroyed, and her leg twisted, bleeding, useless. She had heard tales of humans, wild and merciless when threatened. She had warned her superiors not to invade Earth. No one listened. Now, she would pay the price. Footsteps crunched through the rubble, heavy, approaching. She forced herself to lift her head, her elongated eyes narrowing in fear. A human stood before her. He was tall, rough-looking, with dust on his skin and weariness in his eyes. His hair was short, dark and windswept, his jaw sharp and unshaven. A weapon was slung across his back, but his hands were empty. Valira flinched. She pressed herself. Back, heart pounding. Easy, the human said softly, kneeling. His voice surprised her. Not harsh. Not cold. You came to kill me, she said, coughing. Her native tongue twisted strangely in her mouth, but she had studied enough of Earth's speech to manage. He looked at her for a long moment. If I wanted to kill you, you'd already be dead. She stared at him, confused. Her whole body trembled as he reached toward her. She closed her eyes, expecting pain. Instead, he touched her shoulder, gently. His hand was warm, careful. She opened, her eyes stunned. I'm not your enemy, he said. Name's Ryan. Valira blinked at him. Why, help? He sighed, looking around. War's over. Or as close to over as it's going to get. You're hurt. I don't leave people behind. She couldn't understand. Was this a trick? But as he lifted her, cradling her broken body, she felt the truth in his touch. His arms were strong, but not cruel. For the first time in days, she didn't feel like prey. Ryan carried Valira across the ruined field, stepping carefully over rubble and burnt-out shells of machines. The air smelled of smoke and iron, and the cries of the wounded echoed faintly behind them. Valira leaned against his chest, confused by her own thoughts. Her people had spoken of humans as brutal, instinct-driven creatures. Yet here she was, being cradled like something precious. She could feel the steady rhythm of his heartbeat. Each thump calmed her, made her forget the pain in her leg for just a moment. Almost there, Ryan murmured, not expecting a reply. He glanced down at her. You're lighter than I expected. Valira blinked up at him, her voice hoarse. I don't understand you. Ryan gave a faint smile. You and me both. They reached a small outpost tucked between jagged rocks and collapsed trees. It looked like an old human supply station, half destroyed, but still sheltering enough to survive in. A power cell hummed weakly in the corner. A cot rested against the wall, covered in blankets. Ryan gently laid her down, careful with her leg. Valira winced. Why not leave me? Because I've seen too much death already, he said. Doesn't matter if you're alien or human. He removed his jacket, folding it behind her head as a pillow. Then he grabbed a small medkit and knelt beside her. Valira tensed. I need to clean this, he said, pointing to her leg. It'll hurt, but not for long. She nodded slowly, unsure why she trusted him, only that some part of her did. Worked in silence, cleaning the wound, wrapping it tightly. His fingers were firm, but his touch never lingered too long. He respected her space, her pain. You're skilled, Valira said softly, surprised by her own words. Ryan shrugged. Spent years patching people up, friends, enemies. Doesn't matter much when they're bleeding. Something in his voice ached. She heard sorrow buried beneath his calm tone. He had lost people too. She reached out, hesitant, and touched his arm. He looked at her. "You don't have to stay," she said. He smiled, tired, soft. "I know, but I will." The silence that followed was warm, not awkward. The kind of silence where two souls begin to feel each other's presence. Valira's eyelids grew heavy. Her body, at last, started to relax. As she drifted toward sleep, she whispered, "Thank you, Ryan." And he whispered back, "You're welcome, Valira." Outside, the sky began to clear. The first stars peeked through the smoke. Inside, two former enemies shared a quiet night, not with weapons, but with kindness. The next morning, sunlight filtered through the cracked ceiling, casting golden lines across Valira's skin. She stirred, blinking slowly. Her leg throbbed, but the pain was duller now, wrapped and cared for. For a moment, she forgot where she was, until she smelled something strange in the air. Warm, savory. She sat up, groaning softly. Ryan was crouched near a small stove, working over a pan with focused hands. He wore a sleeveless shirt now, his arms strong and marked by scars. Not all from war, she guessed. Some looked older, memories carved into flesh. He noticed her watching and gave a small nod. "Morning. You slept through the night." Valira lowered her gaze. "I haven't slept in days." "Not surprised," he said, stirring. "You need food. This isn't Tyriath cuisine, but it'll keep you alive." "What is it?" "Eggs. A few herbs I found nearby. Could use salt, but I doubt you'd like human salt." He gave a crooked smile. She tilted her head, trying to read his emotions. "You joke. Even after war?" He shrugged. "It helps." He brought the plate to her and crouched beside her cot. Valira hesitated, unsure if her body could handle human food. She took a cautious bite. It was simple, warm, not delicious, but comforting in a way she hadn't felt since before the invasion. She blinked at him. "It's good," he chuckled. "That's generous." They sat in silence again. But now it felt less strange. Valira ate slowly, watching him fix a broken piece of the door with strips of metal and worn tools. Every movement he made was patient, quiet. He didn't ask questions about her people. He didn't interrogate her. He just let her exist. When she was done, she whispered, "You don't hate me." Ryan paused. "Do you hate me?" She opened her mouth, then closed it. The answer was no, but saying it felt too heavy. He continued, softer. "I lost someone, my brother. He died when your ships fell. And for a while I hated every alien face I saw." She flinched, her throat tightened. "I'm sorry." Ryan nodded. "I know. That's why I stopped hating. Hate just burns you from the inside, but this," he looked at her leg, "this is something I can fix." Valira swallowed hard. Her chest ached, not from injury, but from the strange warmth curling deep inside her. She looked down at her hands. "I never wanted war. I came to study, to learn." He sat beside her. Not close enough to touch, but near enough to feel his presence. "You still can," he said quietly. "There's more to humans than fire and fear." She glanced at him, his face lined with fatigue and care. "And more to Tyrethans than steel and warships." For a moment their eyes met, deeply. Something unspoken passed between them. Quiet thread of understanding, of shared hurt, shared healing. Valira reached out again, fingertips brushing his hand. He didn't pull away, and the distance between alien and human grew smaller still. The days passed slowly, marked by quiet moments and the soft rhythm of healing. Valira's leg began to mend, though she still couldn't walk without Ryan's help. He built her a makeshift crutch from scavenged parts, smoothing the handle so it wouldn't hurt her palms. She thanked him with a soft smile every time he helped her move. They spent their time in gentle routines. Rian taught her how to boil water the human way. She taught him how Tyrethans filtered air through crystal dust, a technique that fascinated him. Their hands brushed often, over tools, over meals, and neither of them pulled away anymore. One evening, as twilight stretched across the land, Rian led Valira outside. The sky had cleared, showing a horizon that pulsed with pink and deep violet. The ruins of war still lingered, broken structures jutting from the earth like fallen bones. But life was creeping back. Small green shoots pushing through cracks, birds nesting in the silence. Valira sat on a rock, her crutch leaning beside her. Rian stood nearby, hands in his pockets. "This planet," she said softly, "it breathes differently. But it's beautiful." Rian smiled faintly. "It used to be more beautiful, before we broke it." She tilted her head. "You blame yourself, too much." He turned to her, voice quiet. "Do you ever wonder what would have happened if we'd met in peace?" Valira's gaze lingered on him. "Yes, I think about that often." He stepped closer, kneeling in front of her, his eyes searching hers. "Valira, I don't know what happens now. You'll go home maybe, or I will. But I don't want this to end. Like nothing happened." Her pulse quickened. "You think I want to leave?" He hesitated. "Don't you?" She looked away for a moment, then back to him. "I was ready to die when you found me. But then I felt your touch. And it wasn't pain. It was care. No one on my team treated me like that. Not even my own kind." He swallowed. "I didn't plan for this." For feeling something. She reached for his hand. This time she held it tightly. "I don't know if it's love," she whispered. "But when you're near, I feel safe and warm." Rian leaned closer. His breath touched her cheek. "Then stay. Not as an alien, not as a prisoner, just as you." Valira's heart raced. Her fingers curled into his. "I want to stay. With you." And in the hush between words, Rian leaned forward, pressing a kiss to her brow, tender, slow, full of everything unspoken. She closed her eyes and let it wash over her, feeling the world shift beneath her skin. No longer invader, no longer enemy, just two souls, tangled gently in something new. The days that followed felt different, like the world had exhaled at last. Valira and Rian moved together through the broken landscape, side by side, no longer as enemies, not even as strangers. There was no plan, no command from above, just a quiet decision to be together, to make this ruined little place into something like home. Rian found an old transmitter, damaged, but not beyond repair. He worked late into the nights fixing it, his fingers blackened with wire dust. Valira sat nearby, reading from her memory band, translating ancient Earth poems she found oddly moving. They laughed more now, even when the food was bland or when the rain dripped through the roof. They didn't speak often of the war anymore. They didn't need to. One morning, Valira stood without her crutch for the first time. She wobbled, arms flailing, but Rian was there in an instant, catching her. His hands steadied her waist, and she let herself fall against him, breathless with surprise and a bit of joy. "I walked," she said, grinning. "You did," he smiled back, holding her longer than he needed to. She didn't pull away. Later they stood under the stars. The transmitter finally blinked to life, humming with a signal. It could call for help now, either from her people or his. The choice lay between them. Valira looked at him. "If I send a message, someone will come. For me, maybe for you." Rian didn't answer right away. His eyes stayed on hers. "I'll go if you want me to," he said, "but I'd rather stay." With you. She touched his cheek, feeling the warmth of his skin, the scratch of stubble on her fingers. I don't want to be rescued, she whispered. Not if it means losing this. He leaned in, slower than before, as if still asking permission. She met him halfway. Their lips touched, soft, unsure at first, then deeper, as if all the pain and fear of the past had finally melted into something tender and real. When they pulled apart, she rested her forehead against his. I used to fear. Human hands, she whispered, but your hands, they gave me life. He smiled, brushing her hair back gently. And yours gave me hope. Above them, the stars continued to spin, silent witnesses to a truth greater than any war, alien and human, not meant to meet. Yet, somehow, perfectly made for one another. And in that broken world, they chose to build something new. Not from blood or victory, but from kindness, warmth, and love born in the quiet after battle.